All right, I am so excited to have Jim Johnson from North Dakota State College of Sciences with us today. He is one of the most knowledgeable college reps that I've had the opportunity to be around in my 10 years of doing this job now. Super exciting to have him on 10 Minutes With, and I think he's going to be able to offer some great insight to our families and to our people that are watching. So, Jim, why don't you start with just introducing yourself and give us a little bit of your background, kind of your role, what you do at North Dakota State College of Sciences, and then we'll get into our questions.
Perfect. Well, Eric, thanks so much for having me, and hello Andover families. It's nice to be with you today. My name is Jim Johnson, and I am celebrating my 27th year in college admissions. I work for North Dakota State College of Science, North Dakota State College of Science, otherwise known as NDSCS for short, is the second oldest public two-year college in the United States. And of course, if you're the second, you obviously have to know who's number one, and that's Joliet, Illinois, down the suburb of Chicago. You know, living and working here as a regional representative in the Twin Cities, I know the other community and technical colleges well, and what a plethora of just awesome schools that Andover students and families have to their avail here in the Twin Cities. NDSCS is quite different, though, than the model that we're all used to here as residents of the metro area. Most of the schools here, as you know, Eric, are commuting colleges where students, it's like high school, you know, they wake up in the morning, they get in their car or public transportation, and they go to the community and technical college, take their classes during the day, and then they return home in the evening. NDSCS isn't like that. NDSCS is a residential college, and we look, feel, and operate like a four-year college. So we have band, we have choir, we have theater, we have 6 residential halls, we've got clubs, organizations, athletic activities, and intercollegiate sports, rather. And so it looks and feels just like a four-year college. And so yeah, that's just kind of an overview of the college, and maybe we can get into some of the details.
Yeah, so all of those things that you just stated right there, that's exactly why I wanted to have you on there, because or have you on our show here, because I think it's super important for our families to know that there's options for two-year schools that don't look like the two-year schools around here, where there's a dorm and there's housing and there's sports and there's some really unique opportunities that maybe our families have never even been exposed to, just because of proximity. So I'm glad that you touch on that, and we'll get into the great programs, but that's a great starting point. So you and I were talking before a little bit, before we started recording even, like how has COVID-19 impacted campus, and what are some of the things that you guys are doing, or what is, you talked about some of the summer things going on. So maybe you want to just give us a little update on COVID-19 and NDSCS and what that has meant for your students and faculty.
You bet. Well, as with your families and students there at Andover High School, obviously COVID has created a challenge, and so we're learning a new norm. Students have been learning online, of course, with their professors, and I just am so proud of our students and how well they're doing, and how enthusiastic they are to overcome some of those challenges, and just kind of roll with the punches, and they're doing really well. So what's happened with NDSCS is our students are very close to finishing up their spring semester, and so our sophomores will be graduating, and our freshmen will be completing their first year. Those students that are in really lab intensive, those hands-on classes in some of the skilled trade areas, if you will, the auto, the diesel, the plumbing, the heating, ventilating, and air conditioning and electrical, those students are going to leave us for a bit, and they're going to come back for a 3-week, really lab intensive time on the campus in August. And so they'll finish up all those lab classes, as I say, in a real intensive 3-week period of time. And then the sophomores will go to their jobs, their careers, that many of them have them already identified. And then the freshmen will stay and start their sophomore year. So it's been a busy time adjusting to the new norm, but everybody's just doing such a great job, and I'm learning a lot. Our teachers are learning a lot, faculty and staff, the students. It's just like you are at Andover High
Yeah.
School. And, there's some really awesome things that have happened, because of the virtual. We've learned how to do some of the virtual visits that we're doing, and giving students that live quite a ways away from the college accessibility to be able
Sure.
to visit the school. And so, no, it's been a good time. It's
Yeah. I think for me, what's always great to hear is the support. Just like the families have here at Andover, they have support built in for them at college. And I think the biggest takeaway for me during this time has been that support doesn't stop. And then, man, what a great learning opportunity, because sometimes life happens and we have to learn new technology and we have to learn things on the fly. And I think those examples that you guys have provided, as far as like even having to implement 3-week intensive lab course before you go to work after you start your career or you continue your sophomore year, those are all part of life. So what great lessons for students, and for even our students still in high school, to learn like these things happen, and no, they're not ideal, but like you said, you just kind of roll with it and you learn and you improve and you keep going. So that's great to hear. So let's keep going here. So this is always my favorite question to ask college reps. So North Dakota State College of Sciences, it's if you were riding up an elevator with somebody, right, and they didn't know anything about your campus, they didn't know anything about the location, whatever they don't know anything about it, what would be your elevator pitch to those people you're riding up there with?
Oh my goodness, so many things that I just am privileged to be able to tell you. I think, beyond just the robust campus opportunity that we have, 130 acres of campus, different buildings for different disciplines, not just one building. The business partnerships that we have, and the equipment and the facilities and the labs, and I mean, just a good example. For example, our diesel building is larger. Just our diesel building is larger than one of the technical colleges here in the Twin Cities. Just to kind of put things into perspective. Um, Small class sizes, the student support, like you were talking about. One of the things that we can share with your families is the retention rate that we have. Students are learning, and that student support is really important. And it's not one of those wow kinds of things that you can put into collateral materials or a brochure. It's just who we are and part of the fabric of who we are. And it's really awesome to see students succeed. Business and industry, of course, as you know, Eric, can't find enough people in some of the career opportunities that we're providing that foundational education for. And so it's a busy place.
For sure.
And students don't have to worry at all about finding a career opportunity. In fact, one of the problems that we have, and again, I say this with a little jest, is that we have a job fair every year, every February, and employers are so desperate to find students that sometimes they try to pull those students away from even finishing their college because they want to hire them.
Sure. So you talked about your job fair, you talked about some of those things, but what would you, and this is hard to answer maybe, but what are the 3 most popular, or what are your three programs, your 3 go-to programs, or maybe even just something that makes you unique as far as your programming goes that you wanted to share?
Sure. Well, I guess I would say there's 3 really large clusters. Health sciences, of course, the nursing, the dental, the pharmacy, occupational therapy. That grouping of subject areas is robust. Our liberal arts transfer program, that's a good portion of our students on our campus. Those students that want to go to a 4-year college but start at a smaller, more economically affordable college, that's another cluster. And then, of course, our skilled trades is huge at NDSCS. A very unique program that we have, just as an example, is our transportation program in the diesel technology area, where we actually have 6 diesel programs, but 5 of them are sponsorship programs, and you need a sponsorship to be in that program. And that sponsorship essentially, for a senior, for example, if you had a senior right now that was interested, we'll use Komatsu. Let's use that as an example. If a student is interested in working as a technician for Komatsu, he or she would be finalizing their interviewing and their sponsorship right about now, and enrolling in the school. They would work in an internship perhaps this summer, and then move into the college in the fall. And over the next 2 years, they'd be in and out of school, out for the internship a little bit, back into school, out and in. And then after 2 years, they go to work for that dealership, and then that dealership actually reimburses them for a good portion, if not all, their tuition. And so think about that. If you're a senior in high school, you could possibly have your full-time career job waiting for you, all set to go before you even graduate from high school, and your college is paid for.
Yeah,
It's really unique.
pretty awesome opportunities. I think honestly, I feel like your university, your college is one of the probably like one of the leaders in that kind of that model. So I think that's something that I just really hope our families look into and take advantage of. Anything you mentioned some of these things. Is there anything campus life that we missed, or anything about the student life that maybe you wanted to highlight that you haven't brought up yet?
Oh my goodness, we've got well over 30 clubs and organizations for students to get involved, whether it's a Wildcat Welcome team or student ambassadors or our diversity and equity team. We've got all kinds of ways to get involved in leadership in campus. For example, you could be a resident assistant, you could serve on student senate. We've got band, choir, theater, and then we've got 6 on NJC2A intercollegiate sports that we have. We are just adding baseball to the mix. We've got men's and women's basketball, we've got women's volleyball, football, softball, and then we just added baseball. And then in addition to that, we've added a clay target team and esports to the menu. So lots of ways for students to get involved in athletics. And then again, as I mentioned, clubs, organizations, volunteer work, campus jobs and activities that they can get involved in terms of helping pay for their college. So there's just a myriad of opportunities for students.
Yeah.
And again, having a campus like we do, that's the whole point, is we want students to be one in community. It's kind of a work hard, play hard sort of mentality, have fun,
Yeah, that the former baseball coach in me just loves to hear that you guys are adding baseball and taking that on. And I think when people talk about that quote unquote JUCO experience, that junior college experience on the athletic side, I think that you guys offer some great things. And it's I always like to highlight for people, it is still student athlete, right? Student first. So having the great programs that you guys do, I think makes that an even more enticing option there. So switching gears, these are just more lighthearted, like things to get to know you better. What any of your favorite college experiences that you want to share with us?
Oh my goodness. When I was in college, one of the things that I really enjoyed, I did my undergraduate work at Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota, and doing a semester abroad was wonderful, traveling. And I think about our culinary arts students, for example, that spent some time last summer in Europe, and the intent was to go this summer. That won't happen because of the virus, but I'm sure they'll reschedule that and go again the following summer. And if you can do some traveling, that was fun. And again, getting involved in campus was great when I was in college, and not just going to class and the academics piece, but just getting connected. I think about my college roommate. We're lifelong friends, and connections, and teachers and professors that I had in college. We still talk. It's awesome. So yeah, no, I think college is about developing relationships. Certainly, it's about learning and broadening your base and investing in you, the most important thing you've got. But the relationships and some of the activities and events, I can't impress upon students enough how important it is to get involved in the life of the institution that you attend. It's just critical.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was a kid that went to Bemidji State for 2 years, and then I transferred to the U of M. And people ask me all the time, oh my gosh, how did you go from Bemidji to this big city U of M campus? And the biggest thing that I can tell them is I just got so involved. I just really got immersed in campus life and found kind of a passion and a niche of students that had like-minded, like myself, and then even challenged some of my thinking. So that's a great recommendation. Anything, so if students are headed up for a visit, anything, I know you're regional rep, but anything up around campus that you would recommend as a must-do, a must-see, if they're taking a trip up there, anything that you would recommend for families?
Oh, absolutely. So if I can put a plug in, we do campus visits. We're doing virtual visits now, but when we get back to normal life, which we hope is soon, we do campus visits every day. We actually run a couple of bus trips up there from your school district,
Yep.
where we meet at STEP and take a motor coach up to campus, spend a day on campus, and the students get to see the campus and a bit of the community. If you go up on your own, oh, absolutely. You've got to visit some of the parks, and we have a zoo up in Wapaton. It's just a wonderful, delightful zoo. Just from a distance perspective, we're about 3 hours from the Twin Cities. And when you cross over the river at Breckenridge in Wapaton, when you cross over the Red River, between the college and the river, there's a swath of property, land, where there's a golf course, there's parks, there's a swimming recreational area, and of course then the Chihinkapa Zoo, where we've got over 200 animals and so forth. Just outside of the community is a Bag Bonanza farm, which is on the historical registry. Um, it's just a wonderful community, and of course you've got to check out the Wapaton Deli. Their submarine sandwiches are awesome, and El Toro's fajitas, of course, are kind of a household favorite. And no, it's a wonderful, rural, welcoming community. It's
Awesome.
just awesome.
Good. Anything that's been passing your time during quarantine? I know I've been really kind of dedicating myself to a few books, trying to do some reading. Anything that's been, I know you're busy helping students, but anything that's helping you burn some time while you're quarantined?
Well, as a friend of mine said the other day, with everybody kind of cleaning their houses and doing projects, the thrift stores are going to have a great inventory by July. And so I certainly I can resemble that statement, if you will. No, I actually pulled out a book out of my library just the other day. I haven't gotten to it yet, but Alvin Toffler wrote a book back in 1970s, early 70s. It's called Future Shock. And he was predicting what life was going to be like in the future, and the whole premise of the book is people's fear about the future. And I thought, it'd be kind of a good reread.
Yeah.
I pulled it out and dusted it off, and it's sitting on my chair, and I will try to get to it this week.
Awesome. Anything, Jim, in closing that we missed? Anything that you want to highlight about campus? Any final words of advice? Just, I'll give you the last word here before we sign off.
Well, I just want to say how much I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk to your students and your families. NDSCS is just an awesome, wonderful school that is in your wheelhouse. If you're looking at a two-year college, you definitely owe it to yourself to check us out and come and visit. The coffee pot's always on, and the sign on the front door is welcome. It's a wonderful, wonderful school, and just rich in tradition, and it's truly student centered, and that's probably the piece of the whole puzzle that gives me the most satisfaction, is that I know I work for an institution where nothing is more important than student success. And so I'm proud to be a part of that and to be able to tell that story every day that I go to work. It's a privilege.
Jim, thank you so much for spending 10 minutes with me today. I know I said this at the introduction, but I think that you are a great resource and just a phenomenal representative person of your campus and just college admissions in general. I think you do things the right way, and I'm glad that we were able to connect today, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Eric, and all the best to you and your families as well.